Hey folks, happy Saturday morning rant. What do I want to talk about today? I want to talk about compensation for public speaking, for going to meetings. I had a chance to meet with a lot of people over the last couple of weeks, a lot of people from all over the country, because there was conferences in New York, there's meetings in New York. People are back to gathering. COVID is, behind us for most people. So I had a chance to hang out with a lot of people, and that was cool. But there was like a theme, there was a theme that sounds like some of the shit I be talking about on these rants. But there was a particular theme around whether people were being compensated for the time they were spending coming to New York, going to other places around the country, and offering their intellectual property and their experiences to what seemed like really important conversations to be had. But the first question I'd ask people, and I know some of y'all are mad I'd be asking this question, but get over it, is like, are you getting paid? And it's so funny. Like, first of all, before I even talk about nonprofits not compensating people, let me talk about people not preparing themselves to be compensated by nonprofits. Like, I just want to shine the lens in the other direction for a second so people don't think I'm just biased here. Like, if you say you a public speaker and all you got is your experience in prison and the trauma that's come from it, and that's what you selling, then don't be on at the same time talking about trauma porn, blah, 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 because that's what the fuck you selling. Like, if you selling trauma porn and people are buying it, that's what you selling. That's your choice. You get to decide if that's what you selling. So let's say you decide that that's what you selling. That's all good, but that's what you selling. I don't know about you, but that's not who I want to be. I don't want to be the dude who the only thing he brings to the table, to a meeting, to a conference, to a panel, to anything is just my story of being locked the fuck up. Because that was a fucked up time in my life, and that's not a story I just want to keep telling over and over and over again, even if I'm getting paid for it. I know some of y'all want to do that. You could do that. That's on you. But there's others of you out there who have a bunch of skills and a bunch of experience, and you want to do something different. And the problem I have with the first part, I was about to say I ain't got no problem with it. Do what you want to do. I personally have a problem with it. You know why? Because when I came out of prison and I met this movement, the shit was run by people who had nothing to do with being incarcerated, well-intentioned for the most part, but never been locked up. And the whole fucking effort was based on this sort of deficit-based approach to organizing and advocacy, which is these poor people that end up in prison shouldn't be there. These poor people need an opportunity to turn their lives around. These poor people, these poor people, these poor people. And now on the back end, you offering all this trauma porn so that you could, check that box of like these poor people. But I met some of America's best and brightest in prison. Brilliant motherfuckers. Brilliant. The things they were making, the things they were saying, the things they were doing, the things they were teaching. I learned fucking yoga in prison. I learned how to take a computer apart and put it back together in prison. I learned how to fucking make tea with a stinger in prison. I learned how to do a tattoo with a motor from a pair of clippers. We lock up America's best and brightest. And so you got these super progressive liberal folks that were doing this work 20-something years ago, and it was all about racial disparities in the criminal justice system, which exists. But as I told y'all a few weeks ago, the research says the more you convince white folks that the criminal justice system disproportionately affects black folks, the less they want to do anything about it. So that's not a good strategy. And then the other thing is like this idea of people feeling sorry for you. That's how we got this second chance shit. Like, if you feel sorry for these people, then you can offer your grace to them by way of a second chance. You're still the powerful one. These are the poor people that really need your help. You're still the powerful one. You get to make the decision, but I'm asking you to help these poor people. Fuck out of here. Like, that ain't, I never, like, yo, I didn't turn my life around. Like, opportunity presented itself, and I believed I could take advantage of it. There was no like turn. I was just as fucking brilliant on the streets. Like, I literally robbed like 60 jewelry stores in 8 years with 8 people. All of us made a shit ton of money, had houses, cars, all sorts of shit. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't turn, like, I've always been fucking skillful. I just didn't realize where I should invest my skills. So all y'all out there doing this public speaking and getting paid to just tell these stories that reinforce this very fucked up approach to criminal justice reform that says we locked up way too many of these poor people, as opposed to we've locked up really brilliant human beings and people that have a tremendous amount of potential and people who could have blank, you fill in the fucking blank, if we thought of better ways to support them, to partner with them, to help them address their challenges, etc., etc. No, you want to tell the story about these poor people, and now you out of prison, you want to fucking check that box, you know, for what, $150? Let's talk about that. So I was about to say, if you do public speaking and you want to get paid and you want to show up as more than just your trauma porn, then you need to help people understand what the fuck you bring to the table. It can't just be your fucking story. Like, literally package yourself. Like, first of all, you can't be a fucking generalist. You can't be someone who can speak about anything. That's stupid. Nobody can speak about everything, and who the fuck wants a keynote that can speak about anything? You might as well just fucking let your 11-year-old child do the keynote. Like, people want you because they think you have a thing or a handful of things that you have spent a lot of time thinking about, talking about, and experiencing. But if you don't package that and help people understand that that is what they are investing in, then why are you surprised that they just paying you for your trauma porn? I remember being on the phone years ago with a foundation, and it was me going to be on a panel with these 3 policy people. And they were like, you know, Glenn, you're going to be the storyteller telling your story, and these are going to be like the policy professionals. And I was like, with all due respect, like, I've written and passed 8 bills in 7 different states. I'd love to hear from these policy professionals what they've been able to advance. Fucking crickets. So let them motherfuckers tell their story. Maybe they got a sad story about being at Yale or Harvard or Columbia or NYU or wherever the fuck they were. But I'm not going to be the trauma porn story, because I have drafted bills. I have advanced them. I have created relationships with conservatives and progressives to get a bill passed, to move it through the legislature, to amend the bill, to negotiate on the bill, to get the bill passed, and then to get the bill successfully implemented. But you want me to be the fucking storyteller? The story I'm going to tell is about how you trying to pimp me the fuck out. I'm not going to be your storyteller. But you know why? Because I was clear with them about what the fuck I brought to the table besides just my poor story of being locked up. Yeah, that shit was fucked up. Locked up was fucked up. But that ain't the only thing I'm selling, because that shit ain't gonna get you so far. And people like me and others have opened the fucking floodgates for everybody to come the fuck out of the closet. So you're not even special anymore just because you did time. That's not enough to be special. I did time. I'm an entrepreneur. I did time. I work for a nonprofit. I did time. Whatever the fuck, like, I helped change voting laws in this state. I did time. Like, I helped people get access to healthcare in a way that they couldn't before by moving forward this regulatory change. Or I've been working on LWOP issues and we've been successful like, help people package yourself. What the fuck are people buying? Can't just be your charismatic fucking self and your cute smile and whatever the fuck you bring. I don't know. It can't just be that. I know there's some of y'all out there, that's all the fuck you bring to the table. And I know there's some of y'all out there literally running organizations and you only got there because you're willing to tell that fucking story about smoking crack over and over and over again. We're tired of that fucking story. It's embarrassing. You're embarrassing yourself, especially when you still act like you're smoking crack. Bring something else to the table. Bring some skills to the table. Bring a vision to the table. Bring some ideas to the table. Fuck. All right, so now we back to the story. So now that's the lens on people directly impacted. Like, we built a movement. You're at the head of the movement in many cases. You have the ability to be further leading in the movement. But let's stop selling the sad stories alone. What else do you bring to the table? Your trauma is important, I get it. But a microphone and a $150 check is not your way out of trauma. Okay, I'm done with that part of it. So let's talk about the other part of it now. Because the other part of it is about organizations that are willing to tell a person that you're interested in them and you're interested in their story, and at the same time, not compensate them. So many people told me they were in New York and they were here to do meetings and they were here to do a keynote, here to do a speech, here to do something like that. But at the same time, when I'd be like, okay, well, help me understand how you're being compensated for this, most of them literally did not have an answer for how they're going to be compensated. So help me understand how in the fucking hell you can travel across the country, sometimes on your own dime. Sometimes you're lucky if the organization pays for the travel, but you're not being compensated for your time. Like, what about the opportunity cost? What about your fucking kids? What about every minute you're not having with your kids? What about the work that's waiting for you at home when you get back home? I literally go into a meeting for 3 hours and come out and look at my email, and I got like 112 fucking emails. That's an opportunity cost. You better pay me for being in that meeting. And stop living in this nonprofit space where like asking for money is some sort of like negative. Like literally a badge of honor. What's up, dude? A badge of honor is some sort of negative shit, and of poverty is some sort of negative shit, and you're not supposed to ask for money? Like, hell yeah, you're supposed to ask for money. Ask for what the fuck you think you're worth. And let me tell you, the $150 thing, which I keep bringing up on purpose, I got out of prison 24 years ago. And for the first 3 or 4 years, I wasn't doing no public speaking because nobody wanted to hear somebody who'd been in prison talking publicly. And then I finally started doing some public speaking. And then I did that for like a year and a half. And then I got on the phone, I called one of my colleagues, and I was like, yo, I never get paid for public speaking the way you do. You always get paid for public speaking. What the fuck? And they was like, do you be asking? I was like, oh yeah, no, I don't really be asking. Okay, so that's why you don't get paid for public speaking. And then I was like, can you teach me how to ask? And they taught me how to ask. But then they was like, also, you got to package yourself. You got to figure, But the point is this, nonprofits, if y'all out there asking people to speak, instead of inviting 5 people and not paying none of them, or inviting 5 people and paying them $150 a piece, invite 1 or 2 people and pay them a decent fucking salary for their time. And when you do public speaking, like, it's not even like if it's just the time I spend in your meeting, or the time I spend on your stage, or the time I spend behind your mic, or the time I spend behind your megaphone. Like, it's the time I spend to prep for that shit. The time I spent to travel to that shit. The time I spend trying to get home after that shit. All of that needs to be paid for. And y'all don't be telling poor people that shit. Y'all don't tell low-income frontline staff how to think about this thing, how to think about money. That's how you think about money. Like, every minute of your life can be worth something. And if people show an interest in you being part of what it is they're doing, then they should show a financial interest in making sure you're supported to be able to do that. And if you think it's just about making money, because I noticed some of y'all anti-capitalists out there saying, oh, he sounds like such a capitalist. Yeah, motherfucker. Like, until black, brown, and poor people make some fucking money, I don't like this conversation about getting rid of capitalism. Can we make that decision together? Can we all have some motherfucking money and make that decision together? So yeah, I'm telling people how the fuck to think about money and why they should think about it that way. Because it's not just money for the sake of money. Everybody, look, I like nice things. I like nice things. Well, I like a nice car. I like a nice apartment. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I ain't got no fucking clothes, and I ain't into like sneakers and shit. Like, but I like some shit. There's some shit I like, and yes, but that ain't what money's about. And y'all be lying to people, and I'm gonna tell y'all right now, listen close, lean into this one, especially people that never had money. Because a few years ago, I ain't had no money neither. Lean into this shit for a second. Money's about fucking freedom. Money's about freedom. What does that look like? If you want to run a nonprofit, the idea of not paying yourself makes no fucking sense. How are you gonna help other people and diminish your ability to lead? Like, you have to be able to pay for childcare. You have to be able to pay for someone to help you to maybe deliver your fucking groceries, pay for somebody to maybe help you clean your apartment, pay for somebody maybe to help you take care of your parent. That all buys you the fucking freedom to change the world. Like, if you really want to be out there changing the world, every minute, every hour, every day, every month that you spend doing all these other things are time that you're actually not spending bringing your gifts to the table. And only a nonprofit do we either look for less talented people that are willing to accept less money, or super talented people and then fuck them over and not pay them what they're worth and not recognize that they're still managing a whole fucking life while they're trying to change the world. So if you run a nonprofit, if you have $200,000 budget or you have a $10 million budget and you invite directly impacted people or other people to speak on your stage, in your meeting, at your benefit, fucking pay them. Just pay them. It's just fucking money. It's just money. Money's a fucking concept. In some ways, the more of it you spend, the more good work you do, the more that shit comes back to you anyway. It's just a fucking concept, but you know what? It means something to people. And just because we all in nonprofit, like, I can't pay my bills with your hugs and your fucking kisses. I can't pay my bills with your thank you notes. I can't pay my bills with the fucking box of chocolates with your organization's name on it that you sent, or the mug that you gave me at the fucking conference that we all throw away at the fucking airport. No, I pay my bills with cash. I pay my babysitter, my childcare with cash. I take care of my kids with money. I pay child support with money. I pay my mortgage with money. I sent your fucking mug to my bank and they sent it the fuck back and was like, pay your fucking mortgage. I don't want your mug. Or if I do, I want my money and then I want your mug. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if you do, maybe you shouldn't be running a nonprofit, because you know what? I'm going to tell one last story, actually. When I worked for an organization, large organization in New York, y'all know I don't like to name organizations, especially when I'm about to say some slick shit, but the Fortune Society, where I used to work, like, I remember for 6.5 years while I worked there, I kept hearing from the staff that they wanted coffee in the office. And they wanted coffee in the office because right outside of the office was Northern Boulevard, the Boulevard of Death. I'm not saying, look, I haven't been there in years, so things could be different, but let me just name this shit. So I kept trying to convince the executive director that we needed coffee, and she kept saying, we're an anti-poverty agency, and if donors come here and they see we have coffee machines all over this 65,000 square feet of program space, they're going to think that we're being frivolous with their scarce resources. I'm like, the fuck? You make $350,000 a year. Like, what part of that don't donors like perk up to? And I ain't even mad about people making good money, but if you could make $350,000 a year, you can't buy coffee for the people who work for you, so they don't have to. First of all, if you're a good business person, a good entrepreneur, keeping people at the office by giving them coffee instead of the 30 minutes it takes for them to go get it is actually a good fucking decision. But number two, it's the Boulevard of fucking Death. People get killed by cars crossing the street, and they gotta cross the street to go get coffee. And thirdly, be compassionate, bitch. Like, these people, what, you ain't making sneakers. All you got is the fucking people who work for you. Buy them some motherfucking coffee. Took me years, yo. I think literally the month before I left that organization, they finally put some fucking coffee machines in. And I just never got that rationale of, like, this whole, we need to act like we're super poor and that, like, we're understaffed and that we're struggling, as opposed to running a robust organization where people all get. When I ran a fucking nonprofit, nobody got paid under $58,600. Period. How do I know that? Because everybody was salaried, and that is the minimum amount of salary for people to be able to survive at that time. If I ran a nonprofit now, I'd have a baseline salary. I didn't give a fuck if you clean the toilets or you're meeting with legislators. There's just a certain amount of money you're gonna fucking make. And if you speak for me, then I'm gonna make sure that you get paid properly to be able to be able to take care of yourself. Sorry, I got distracted. This motherfucker almost hit my car. That's all I got for y'all today. Like, literally, that's all I got for y'all. I wanted to talk about compensation because I didn't like the fact that I was talking to a whole bunch of people that was here in New York, invited here by these large organizations. Y'all got all this yield money. Bunch of them got yield money. Y'all got money. We know you got money. You know you got Jeff Bezos' wife gave you some money. But all these organizations got money, and I get it. Like, you're trying to be thoughtful about how you spend scarce resources. But part of that has to be that you're compensating people for their time and their talents. That's what I got to say. I'm going to go enjoy my weekend. Going to go hang out with my little brother. And I hope that you don't let nobody steal your rainbow. And I hope this rant was worth your time. I think I was kind of ranty today and kind of went on and on. A little bit of circles. But whatever. That's what the fucking rant is about. Anyway, I'll see y'all next week. Peace.